Well, a very good evening to all, to those of you here in person today, and to those of you who are watching this activity online, wherever you may be, in Dominica, other parts of the world. I would like to welcome you to this workshop. I'll be joining, well, I am Tim Durand, and Gregory will be joining me in presenting this material to you on songwriting. It's a pleasure to be here. We want to apologize for the late start. We were having some difficulties, but we've got the hand out now, and hopefully everything will proceed smoothly from now on. It's a pleasure to be here. You probably want to know, right? It is Tim Durand, the one standing here presenting material on songwriting or conducting a workshop on songwriting. I, I guess I didn't turn down the invitation by Raymond to come because I felt maybe I have something to contribute because I have been involved in songwriting for a number of years. More specifically Calypso, but I write about the songs. I started writing Calypso in 1996 and I had some success in the Calypso competition. Wrote for people like Tarina, Webb, Observer, Senator, Checker, and some other Sandy, quite a few other Calypsonians. And as I indicated, I did have some success, and somewhere along the way, I learned how to write a song reasonably well. So because of that, I imagine the cultural division felt that I was good enough to be here this evening to assist in presenting this information to you. And it's a pleasure to be here. So we're looking at songwriting this evening. And I think the first thing we need to begin by asking is, what is the song? It would have been good if we had an interactive audience here that we could perhaps pose the question to. I would be interested in finding out from songwriters and potential songwriters how they would describe a song or define a song if asked to do so. But since we don't have that level of interaction right now, I'm going to attempt to give you my own definition in terms of my own concept of a song and some stuff that I've read as well in that regard. But it's simple definition. A song is really a short piece of music with words, or a musical composition with words, made up of words and music. And a song is, you notice I said a short piece of music. Songs can be long, but I think songs have evolved over the years given the various ways in which they're used. There are lots of competitions, and if you're going to use a song in a competition, I think it is going to be more productive and is going to be more competitive to write a short song. Apart from that, too, songs have become very commercial. People earn their livelihoods from writing songs, making music. And if you're going to make music from writing songs, you want to ensure that the people for whom you're writing the songs will want to listen to them. And so because of that, you have to get accustomed to the idea of writing your songs short so that people do not lose interest. They remain attractive and appealing. So essentially a piece of music, short piece of music with words. And the key thing about a song, though, it is written for the purpose of producing some feeling or emotion on the particular topic that you're writing on. So if you decide to write a song, it is because you want to tell a story and you want that story to impact people. So you want people, when they hear the story in song, to react to it, to experience a particular feeling or emotion. The music in a song is called, we refer to for the purpose of songwriting as the melody, and the words, the lyrics. So as this progresses this evening and you hear more and more about what we have to say, you will hear the words melody and lyrics, quite a bit. Now here's something I want to borrow. I want to borrow it first from Gregory Rabess, who borrowed it from somebody else. And it says that every song tells a story, and every song has a story. Its origins, its inspirations, its crafting, and its development. And some stories are told easily and flow quickly, while others take longer and are more painful to birth. Those words were uttered by a gentleman called Ken Mitchell. And as I said, Gregory Rabess borrowed them, and I'm now borrowing them from him. The basic steps in writing a song start with the concept or the idea that means something to you. And that's where your story begins. You want to write about something that's of interest to you, and something ultimately should be of interest to your audience as well. Then you move on to make an outline of the idea. You want to sort of garner your thoughts on what it is that you want to say about this particular idea. You write down your thoughts on the topic, and then you choose a melody or a beat to begin writing to. Now, the thing is, not every songwriter works that way, because not every songwriter is capable of putting together an appropriate melody for a song that he chooses to write. So there's some people who just write lyrics because the words come to them easily, but they don't have a musical background or capability to enable them to put melody or to compose the song. So somebody else has to do that. But my experience is that, I want to share it with you, that is, if you're able to write your own melodies, to put your own music to the songs that you write, to the lyrics that you come up with, I think it makes it easier to write the song, and it also gives you a greater sense of satisfaction after you've finished, because you will have a labor of having thought of the lyrics, find an interesting way to put them across, bring them across, but also you will have had an input in how that sounds and the impact that it has in terms of the melodic, sound of the lyrics that you've put together. So it is, while one is not suggesting that you must be a musician to be a songwriter, but it helps. It definitely helps. Another thing you want to be concerned about and you have to pay attention to is the context in which of that particular song. So some of the issues that you need to consider in songwriting is, so what genre of music that you're going to write the song in? Whether you want to do a pop song, whether you want to do reggae, whether you want to do rhythm and blues, or bouillon, cadence, soca, you have to make a determination as to in what genre of music you want to write that song. There's zouk as well. So there are countless genres and genres that can be appreciated by your audience. And we're talking about specifically your audiences in the Caribbean, depending on what what market you're writing for. You want to look at you want to consider that who it is you're writing the song for. Is it for grown-ups? Is it for youth? Is it for children? Is it for older people? Who it is that you want to reach with that song. And that will help you to determine how you craft the song. What it is that you need to put in that song to appeal to those particular target audiences. Whether you want to do that song for people who speak only Creole. And if you're going to do that, then obviously you can't write a song in English for them. You have to write it in Creole. So you have to take all of those things into consideration. Your language choice is determined by your target audience and the market. Another thing that is happening with songs nowadays is the length. You have to be mindful of the things that impact the length of a song. It is one thing as a creative artist to decide, well, I'm just going to write a song because that's the way I feel and I want to get it out, and it doesn't matter how long it is, I'm going to write it because that's what I want to do. Not many of us have reached the level of independence as artists to be able to do that. A lot of us, when we write our songs, we're writing for particular audiences, whether it be in a competition or whether it be in a commercial situation where you want that song to sell and people to buy your music. So you have to be mindful of that, and therefore you have to be mindful of the length of the song. Because nowadays, radio determines to a large extent whether your song becomes popular or not. The amount of airplay it gets is a big factor in determining the popularity of your song. And so you have to be mindful that if your song is too long, it probably is not going to get a lot of airplay on the radio. So you have to take that into consideration as well. We're looking at song structure now, and we're beginning with the verse, because the song essentially comprises two components. Lyrically, I'm talking about. Lyrically, there are two components to the song. The verse, in terms of structure, the verse and the chorus. So a verse really provides you with the chance to tell a story. It gives you the opportunity to develop whatever topic that you have chosen and to develop that theme to tell the story in order to get your message. Because in a song, you have a message. There's a message you want to get across. Whether it is somebody who has given you a go well, and you want to relay that story, it is a message you want to get across to either the person who has done that and or the people to whom you are channeling or sending that message. So this is where the story actually develops and advances. It is also a chance to be creative and explore the different emotions you're trying to bring out, to your listener. So it means that in the verses of the song, you are able to explore those thoughts and feelings you have about the topic that you're talking about and try to bring them across in a way that will impact the people who are listening to the song. And we're talking from a lyrical standpoint. So that is where you get to say what you want to say about the thing that you're talking about, or you're writing about, the verse of the song. And then we come to the chorus. The chorus is essentially, as all of you will know, a summary of what the song is all about. To my mind, if you're talking about impacting people with your song, if you're talking about getting people to listen to you and to want to listen to you, I think your chorus is very important, because this is the part that people generally want to hear. We reference calypso, for example. A calypso, for those of you who follow and who go to calypso competitions, a calypso without a catchy chorus is really, very unimpact, doesn't have any impact. So that the people who go to the competition and who listen to calypso, if you write your verses well and you tell your story very well, they will listen to the verses and they will react, they will respond. But what they're waiting for really is the chorus. Because everything in the song, all of the verses sort of lead to the chorus. Many times, the title of the song also appears in the chorus. Not all the time, but most of the time, the actual title of the song is in the chorus of the song. So it's a very important part of the song. And that too, usually the chorus contains the hook. And the hook of the song is perhaps the most important line in the chorus, because that is what you have people waiting for to sing along with you. All of you remember Cool Pipe, right? When Saw sang his song, people were just waiting for him to say Cool Pipe, and everybody joined Saw. Cool Pipe, Cool Pipe. That was the hook of his song. And so you understand what I mean when I say that a hook is very important, and you have to pay attention to a catchy hook in order for the chorus to have maximum impact. Excuse me. Okay, there's another part of the song, and I did tell you that the song comprised, say, two main components, the verse and the chorus, but that is because that's the way we typically think of a song, verse and chorus. But there's another important aspect, another part of the song that many songwriters use, and that's the bridge. Okay? Essentially, what the bridge does, it usually happens towards the end of a song between the second and third chorus, right? But it doesn't always have to be there. But typically, that's where songwriters put it. And what it does is it sort of takes you on a journey between the two parts of the song. It gives you something else to think about. and it gives the writer another way, additional way to express, what he has to say. So, for example, there is this song that goes something like, "Living a lie ain't easy. For the words I want to say are bottled up inside me, growing stronger every day. I can't stand this torture anymore. I've got feelings for you that I can't ignore. I want to hold you, baby. No if, no but, no maybe. I want to say I love you, that I'm always thinking of you. I don't want to be living a lie. I can't keep on living this lie anymore." And then it goes to a second verse, which basically is the same, has the same trend, but deals with a different aspect of the song. But then it comes to another part of the song, and I think when Gregory comes and he'll demonstrate that to you, where the melody plays a very important role, but we haven't come to that yet, because the bridge, when you bring in a bridge, it usually is accompanied by a change in melody, the melody of the song. And so you come to a bridge in that song, it says, "We can spend the night together, but we can't be with each other when the morning comes. We're living a lie." Do we find a truthful answer, or do we simply cast asunder, the love that was meant to be? So it takes the song to a different area, okay, where it basically expresses another type of emotion that sort of moves away from the what you have touched in the verse before, and it goes to another level, so to speak, and then it takes you back to the chorus. So that is what a bridge does. Now, bridges are not, it's not the typical thing in a song. What we normally hear, particularly in the music that we've been exposed to, our Caribbean music of calypso, soca, bouillon, and so on, the most common approach to writing songs in those genres are the verse and the chorus. But usually when you bring in a bridge, if you can do that in the music that we write, it can really boost the song. It lends something extra to the song. The point is really to jolt the listener out of her reverie. The fact that the person is basically, the person's attention is taken up by what you're doing, moving from verse to chorus, and then you jolt them into something different. So that is what a bridge does. One other aspect of the show, of songwriting. They say songwriting also has intros and outros apart from the verse and chorus. But my experience is that we do not really use what is called an intro in songwriting very often in these parts. But we do use the outro technique, and that is how you end the song. Because you don't, very few songs or end abruptly, meaning that you just sing the last line of your last chorus and that's it, bam, the song ends. That doesn't happen. We normally do something like a repetition of the chorus, or the last line of the chorus, and then we fade out. So we kind of give people some time to adjust to the fact that the song is coming to an end, So we do use, from time to time, what is called an outro in songwriting. So I guess summarizing, the things that we typically use in writing songs in this parts would be the verse, the chorus, sometimes a bridge, and the outro of the song. Very seldom do we use an intro. They use intro in other parts where they use that part of the song to kind of lead into the song, to get people accustomed to the voice of the singer, and so on. But in the Caribbean, it's not something that we do very often. And if Gregory has examples of that sort of thing happening, I'm sure he'll share that with you. Song structure, okay, very quickly. You can have, I have three different types of song structure that I mentioned to you. One where you can have verses only. So a song can consist of verses only with no chorus, no bridge. So you have basically, there's one song that I think Gregory referenced in a presentation that he made some time ago, Tutsa Dai by Siflamotai Choral. There is no chorus in that song, just verses. Okay, but you have to be able to do that properly with a lovely melody for it to be catchy. Otherwise, it becomes very monotonous. Okay, another singer who's done that is somebody called Bob Dylan. I don't know how many of you are familiar with him. He's one of the greatest songwriters ever in the world, and he did something called Hanged Up Blues, or something to that effect in 1975, and it was that kind of song, just with a verse. But I listened to it, and the thing is, because it is done so well, the melody itself is so interesting. Even in the verse, the melody, you know, there's a lot of movement in the melody of the song. It does not sound boring, but it's a difficult thing to do. Okay. The other one, as I mentioned, is verse and chorus. So you can decide, look, I'm going to write this song, but I'm going to use only verses and choruses. I'm not going to use a bridge. I'm not going to write only verses. So we talked about that already, verse and chorus. And then the third aspect of song structure is the verse, chorus, and the bridge, which I mentioned to you. Okay. Now, in terms of the verse, that is referred to as the AAA type of songwriting. AAA. So if you're reading anything on songwriting and you see AAA, what they're referring to is a song that consists of only verses, no choruses, no bridge. And we mentioned Toots Sadai, and I mentioned Bob Dylan. Then there's another type called the AABA. That is the verse, bridge, verse. We talked about that. Now the bridge doesn't have to come there; it could come somewhere else. You could have, you know, for the bridge, A B. No, A B A. You know, you could write 3 verses and then go to a bridge and then go back to your chorus or your verse. So you can decide where you put the bridge, but the bottom line is you're not doing only a verse and a chorus. You're doing a verse, a chorus, and a bridge. The A, B, C, A, B, that is another, what it means really is you have a verse, you have a chorus, you have a verse, a chorus, a bridge, a verse, chorus. So it really depends on what you want to do and how you want to express it and where you want to put the bridge. So you could choose to put it after the 2 first verses, you could choose to put it after the 3rd verse, you could choose to put it after the 4th verse. It's up to you where you put it. But you have to do it in a way that the song flows, that the bridge comes in at the appropriate place. But ultimately, you have to express some creative, ability in that regard. Okay, the song usually has 3 short melodies, 2 of which are repeated over and over again, and that is the verse and the chorus. They're repeated. But the bridge is usually a one-time thing in the song. So that's the difference between a bridge and a chorus and a verse. The bridge only appears in the song one time. Okay? The chorus and the verse, you can repeat them several times, depending on how many verses you choose to write and how many times you'll have to sing the chorus. Okay, let's look specifically now at lyrics. I did mention developing the theme earlier on and having to choose a topic and giving the song a title. The things that you need to consider. One, you want to think about ideas, right? Themes and lyrics for songs. They come through inspiration, observing things, paying attention to what's happening in the world around you, paying attention to life. All right? A lot of times, some of the songs that we write, they actually there's a reflection of our own personal lives in those songs. We write about things that happen to us. A lot of the songs, it happens in Calypsonians too, where Calypsonians sing in the first person. They talk about their experiences. It happens in rhythm and blues, where a lot of the love songs have to do with personal experiences, where somebody breaks up with you and that is really creating problems for you, problems of the heart. You write from a heart-wrenching position. So those are that's the way you identify things that you want to write about, things that you see around you, either things happening to other people or things that happen to you that you want to talk about. You want to tell a story about those things. And we talked about the theme, the topic, and the title. Ultimately, the title is what the song gets to be referred to by, and it's something that usually comes at the end of the song. Sometimes we start to write a song and we get a title for it. And then after we've finished writing the song and we really assess what we've written, we come to the conclusion, that is not the correct title for the song, really. Because if I check what I'm saying in the song, the title does not accurately reflect what I've written. So it is always advisable to write the song first, finish it, write everything that you want to exhale about it, and then decide on a title afterwards, because it is better that way, and you will more likely to come up with a title that more accurately matches what you're writing about. And excuse me, titles, usually, you want to avoid long titles too, because the general trend is for short titles. So for example, a song I quoted from to you a short while ago, the title is Living a Lie, 3 words. You know, there's 3 words. Usually, you can have a song with a title of just 1 word, you know, 1 word or 2 words. But the suggestion is you try to keep the title as short as possible to capture the essence of what you're saying, of the message, but try to make it as short as possible. In terms of the length, we talked about the length of the song earlier on, and we say that is sort of influenced by commercial considerations, like the fact that you have to sell the song, and people don't want to buy songs that are too long, especially if they have to listen to them. Or you may have to get the song played on the radio, so you want it to be of a length that will encourage announcers or DJs to play the song. So, therefore, in writing a song, if you're writing it for commercial purposes, you have to take into consideration all of those factors. And generally, songs nowadays are not more than 3 to 4 minutes long, because that is what gets played. Occasionally, something longer might come up, and if it is good enough, it'll get airplay. But if it isn't, announcers are not going to play it, or it might be encroaching on airtime in terms of the tight schedule that radio stations have. And therefore, you want to ensure that they don't cut your song because they have to go to a commercial break. You want the entire song to be played, so keep it short. For competitions, more and more, we're finding that the organizers are stipulating how long the songs are supposed to be. Calypso, we know that although there is, with Calypso, there is some sort of leeway because of the history and social implications of Calypso. We find that, because for Crazy, for example, everybody remembers Crazy's song, right? Time to Come, 25 verses. And those verses themselves were almost 25 minutes long, you know what I mean? So, but that was a special situation. It was a special, and Crazy sang that song in a tent. You know, if it was strictly for radio, he would not have done that. He sang it in a tent, and therefore, in a tent you can do that, and you can get away with it if the song is good, as it was. But generally, if you're writing a song for commercial purposes, you want to watch the length. Don't make it too long. Okay. Some of the elements of good lyrics is, as I mentioned to you, you have to consider the story. You must have a story. And then you have to evoke some emotion. You yourself will put emotion into it because you feel a certain way about it, but you also want it to have an emotional effect on the people who are listening to it. And then there is the other part of it called imagery. Okay, so is one thing, you can have a story to tell. Somebody fired you, broke your heart, and you're going to tell that story, and you can put some emotion into it. For example, you can say, you broke my heart and tore it apart, okay? And there you are, leaving me all alone, And then you go on to say, but I need you and I want you to come back home. But put all of those thoughts down. They're telling, to a certain extent, the story that you want to tell, in that the person has left you and you want them to come back. But there is no imagery in it. Imagery meaning that you're not telling them exactly how you feel. You know? You're not using adjectives, and descriptions that will convey what exactly you're feeling to the person that you're talking to, So if you told them that, you tore my heart and broke it apart, and here you've left me, to you use something to the effect to show them that you left me here in total misery, okay? You've left me here in total misery. So you're telling them how you feel. It's painting a picture of what you're saying. You're not just saying words that are expressing, your feeling, but you're painting a picture of exactly how you're feeling. So that is the imagery part of the song. And if you do not have that in a song, it is likely that after a while, the audience will lose interest. So those three things you must have in a song. You must have them. You can decide to what extent you use each of them. You might have more of the story than you have emotion, and more imagery than you have emotion. It depends in what dose or dosage you want to include that in the song. But you must have all three for the song to be appealing, for it to really impact the people, whom you're presenting the song to. I just want to say in a succinct way, a blend of these three aspects of the song, they keep people's attention. So remember that. Okay, words, language, treatment. Okay? If you're writing a song, then the words must be appropriate to the song. For example, if you're writing a gospel song, you're not going to use profane language in that song. All right? You're not going to use, curse words, because those are totally inappropriate. If you're writing a gospel song, you want to keep words that are relevant, that capture the mood, and that is, you want to talk about things spiritual in the song. So that's what we mean when we say the words must be appropriate to the song. If you don't want to, if you're writing a nice, slow love song, you don't want to inject, I'm talking about slow, a ballad, love song. You don't want to inject party whining, wine and whatever we use when we sing soca songs, right? You don't want to inject that into that song. So you want to make sure that the words remain appropriate to the type of song that you're writing. Okay, the other thing is with regard, is treatment, right? Treatment of a song really, or the lyrics, I should say, treatments of the lyrics of a song really make the difference between a good song and a mediocre song, and in some cases a bad song. Because two writers could be given the same topic to write about, and one of them produces a lyrically strong song, okay, that is really beautifully written, that the words are well put together. He uses, poetic expressions, and you listen to the song and say, but that's beautifully written. And another writer could take the same topic and write something that is totally different. Now, although I did say that it makes a difference in that how it is treated will determine whether it's a good or bad song, but at the same time, it is possible for two different writers to take the same topic, treat it differently, and turn out two good songs. But it's just that the treatment will be different. But in Calypso, for example, what differentiates, what you will hear, Calypso critics and judges and so saying, is that the difference between those two songs was how the topic was treated, how the person approached writing the song. So in the end, you get a song that is well put together. All of the techniques have been properly followed. And then on the other hand, you may get a song where the techniques are not followed, and so the judges mark them down. Okay? So the treatment of a topic can make a difference to the strength of the lyrics that you write. For example, I remember, I think it was 2005. I was already writing Calypso, and that year I wrote a song for Webb called Silent Plea. It was about abortion, and there was another Calypsonian who wrote a song on the same topic, all right? But there was a vast difference between the way the two songs were treated. I told the song from the standpoint, or I wrote the lyrics from the standpoint of an embryo, okay, in the womb of the mother, dreading being aborted, right? So you tell the story, a personal story from the standpoint of the child. The other Calypsonian wrote the usual thing, that stop abortion, it's bad, and so on, which was the message that was out there. I mean, that's the way we'd been hearing the message all the time. So there was nothing new about his approach to writing the song. I beg your pardon? Yes. Creativity, imagination, you know, originality. And you know, so that is an example of you know, the different approaches to writing about the same topic. Okay. Let's see now. We talked about words, language, treatment. Well, use of language is important there, because, as I said, ultimately, in treating the topic, I mean, you look at originality, true, from what angle you're going to approach a topic, but you also look at the language that you use, how you use the language, you know. I've heard a lot of people criticizing songwriting, and they say, especially with Calypso, and they say, well, that song was, while that song was poetic, you know, there was good use of language. I mean, language was used extremely well, and so it gave a sort of flavor, you know, and poetic feel to the song. Somebody might say, but that song, I had a little difficulty with it, you know, because the person basically just wrote prose. And as a teacher, I can see one of you in the thing is a teacher, or has been a teacher. You know the difference between prose and poetry. Prose is how we speak. I mean, you know, basically on how we write straight stuff. You know, we write a composition, you know, or a letter. Well, not even letters. Letters can be poetic, but we write a composition, you know, and we write a news item. That's prose. But poetry, when you write a lovely piece of lyrics, for it to be considered lovely, it has to contain of those elements, right? Of poetry, of the proper use of language. You have to use metaphors, similes, the mask, which is used quite often in Calypso, which is an integral part of Calypso, but masks are used in other songs as well, you know. You know? I'm trying to think of a regular popular song where the mask is used, and it doesn't come to me off the bat. Oh yes, this song. I don't know how many of you are familiar with the group. I think it was it Boy George was the lead singer of the group. They did this song called Chameleon. Chameleon, right? Chameleon. And that is a masked song. You understand? It's not a calypso, but it was the use of Boy George, the lead singer, who wrote the song. He used the mask very effectively, because I don't know if you all know that, but the song was about Boy George's lover. Okay, one of the guys in the band was his lover, the drummer, and they had some issues, and so Boy George wrote that song about the lover. But if you listen to the song, unless you have a sense, you know, as to what was going on, you have no idea, you know. That's what he was talking about. He's talking about chameleon. A chameleon is an animal that changes color, you know. So he's accusing the guy of changing his moods, you know. He doesn't know how to behave around him, because one time he is, you know, cool, another time, you know, he's moody. So that is an example of a masked song outside of Calypso that I can think of. There are others, of course. There are many others. Beg your pardon? Yes, yes. And when you get a chance, listen to Chameleon again very closely. Very beautiful song, very popular, but a lot of us didn't know what the song meant. We just sang along with it because it had a lovely melody and we knew the words, but that was a masked song written by Boy George. Okay. Okay, so let's continue to look at the elements of good lyrics. Let's talk quickly about flow and coherence. Okay, the story must be logically developed. It must have a beginning. It must have story development. You have to develop the story in the verses. Okay? So when you're writing the verse for a song, you give it a beginning, then you develop, that concept, the idea, and then you have a conclusion, right? Similarly, that same thing applies to the entire song, right? So you're telling a story, you begin the song, it's probably your first verse, then you develop it in the next 2 or 3 verses, depending on how many verses you write, and then you end it generally, you tell the entire story in the 2 or 3 verses that you write, but usually you come to the end of the song, the chorus caps it all up, and summarizes everything that you want to say. And the main reason for that is if you have a story and you're writing the lyrics, then you want to know that the lyrics are logically developed and they make sense and they're coherent. They tell the story clearly to the people listening to your song. Because if you start writing a verse, you're writing a gospel music, and you're talking about how you're praising God and you love God, and in the second verse, you start talking about whining in Trinidad Carnival, you know what I mean? Somebody's wondering, well, hey, what's happening to this guy? I mean, what's he writing about? Is he writing about God? Is he writing a gospel song? Or is he writing a soca song? So you have to ensure that there's logical development of your storyline, your topic, and you have to ensure that the song is coherent throughout. Okay? The role of the verses versus the chorus. The verses really constitute the development of the themes of the song. So you might have 3 different ideas that you want to convey in the song before you get to the chorus, for each verse. So each verse consists of an idea. You develop the idea in the verse, go to the chorus, then you go to the next verse, you develop another idea, then your chorus, and then you go to the final verse, develop another idea, and your chorus. So that's essentially how the verse and chorus work. Now, there's another aspect. We talked about originality and creativity, but I want to talk about it again in the light of, despite all that we have said, we've told you, we've pointed to you certain things that you need to know and certain techniques you need to follow about songwriting. But ultimately, if you're an artist and you are a creative person, you do not have to stick, you don't necessarily have to stick to those pointers. Because that's how things evolve, I mean, initially, maybe songs were just one long verse and nothing else, but someone might have come along and decided they were going to do it differently and write a song and a chorus, write a verse and a chorus and a verse and a chorus, and that became accepted. And then someone came along and decided, I'm going to write 3 verses before I write a chorus, right? And that became accepted. And another person came along and said, boy, I'm going to try something from a creative standpoint. I'm going to write 2 verses, then I'm going to put a bridge, and I'm going to go to the chorus. And that became accepted. So the point is, as creators and innovators, we are not necessarily expected to adhere to the points that I gave to you, that you have to stick to what is being said. If you feel creatively and innovatively that there's something else that you want to do, you can do that. You don't have to stick to 2 verses in the chorus. You can decide, I'm going to do 3 verses and do my chorus afterwards. So the point I'm making is you have, as an artist, the leeway to exercise creative license, okay, and innovate, create, and originate. One other important thing I want to talk to you about with regard to lyrics is this whole idea of rhyming. A rhyme is critical to a song. You don't have to rhyme, but it certainly makes the song, it gives a nice flow and ring and rhythm the sounds, of the lyrics, and it also makes it easier for people to follow the song because they remember the rhymes. If you didn't put rhymes, it would be a little more difficult. There would not be something that could stick with them as quickly as rhymes do. So rhyming is very important to songwriting, and as I said, it helps people to retain, the songs. But the other thing is there are various ways, various what they call rhyming schemes, so that you have a whole, plethora,